It was supposed to be an ordinary afternoon. A little girl proudly held the leash of her new dog, laughing as they stepped outside. But within seconds, her mother's world shattered. The sound of a scream tore through the air, and what the dog did next left everyone stunned. A little girl, no more than 5, stepped outside with her brand new companion. In her tiny hands, she clutched the leash of a German shepherd, its glossy coat shimmering under the afternoon light. Her cheeks glowed with pride, her smile wide enough to light up the street. Her mother stood at the doorway, one hand resting against the frame, watching closely. It was the girl's very first walk with her new dog. Excitement bubbled in her chest, but underneath lingered a mother's nervousness. The shepherd was strong, powerful, still adjusting to his new home. "Stay close," the mother reminded gently. The girl nodded eagerly, her little shoes tapping against the walkway as the dog paced proudly beside her. For a moment, the scene felt perfect, just a child and her dog, stepping into a world of possibilities. The little girl's laughter floated through the air as she tugged gently on the leash. Though in truth, it was the shepherd who set the pace. Yet somehow, the powerful dog slowed his stride, adjusting to match her tiny steps. His ears twitched at every sound, passing cars, distant voices, rustling leaves, but his eyes never strayed far from her. Neighbors peeked from their porches, smiling at the unusual sight. A child so small walking such a large, commanding animal. It should have looked dangerous. Instead, it looked natural, almost as though the two had always belonged together. The girl leaned down as far as her little arms allowed, patting his neck with a giggle. "You're my best friend," she whispered. The shepherd's tail thumped once against the pavement, his body stiff but steady, as though he already understood the responsibility placed upon him. From the porch, the mother's heart softened. She had worried endlessly about bringing such a strong dog into their home. But seeing him slow his strength for her daughter, watching the way he walked as a protector rather than a pet, stirred something new in her chest. Hope, for the first time. She began to believe this bond was meant to be. The pair wandered farther down the street, the little girl humming a tune only she seemed to know. The shepherd padded beside her, his paws striking the pavement in steady rhythm. Every so often, he glanced at her, as if counting each step, making sure she was safe. The neighborhood was quiet, almost too quiet. Lawns were empty, the usual chatter of neighbors gone. Even the birds, so lively earlier, had grown silent. The girl didn't notice. Her world was filled with laughter and the comforting tug of the leash. But the shepherd noticed. His ears pricked forward, his tail stiffened, and his nose lifted to the air. Something was off. The mother, still watching from the porch, felt a chill ripple across her skin. It was the kind of silence that made the world feel like it was holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. The peace shattered in an instant. A scream tore through the air, high-pitched, sharp, and terrifying. The sound sliced through the stillness like a knife, freezing the mother in place. Her heart lurched as her eyes darted down the street. "Emily!" she cried, her voice breaking. The little girl had stumbled back, her hands clutching the leash as the shepherd bristled, hackles raised. The dog's deep growl rumbled through the neighborhood, so fierce it made the air vibrate. His body stood rigid, planted firmly between the girl and whatever lay ahead. The mother ran from the porch, her breath coming in frantic bursts. Every second felt like an eternity. The scream echoed in her ears, replaying over and over, fueling her fear of what she might find. But as she closed the distance, her eyes caught movement near the edge of the path. Something, or someone, was hidden in the shadows, too close to her daughter. The shepherd lunged forward, pulling the leash tight, his growl now a roar. The girl clung to him, her tiny face pale with fear. The mother's heart raced. What had begun as a joyful walk had just turned into a nightmare. The shepherd's body stiffened, every muscle coiled like a spring. His eyes locked on the figure shifting in the shadows, his growl deepening into something primal. In a single motion, he stepped in front of the girl, planting himself as a living wall between her and the threat. The leash strained in her small hands, but he didn't falter. His ears pinned back, teeth flashing as he barked with a thunderous force that rattled the quiet street. Each bark was sharp, commanding, a warning no one could mistake. The girl clung to the handle, her wide eyes brimming with tears. Yet she never let go. She trusted him, trusted that he would never let anything reach her. From a distance, the mother sprinted closer, her breath ragged, fear clawing at her chest. She had never seen the dog like this, ferocious, unyielding, every instinct sharpened to protect. The shadow moved again, and the shepherd lunged forward just enough to make the ground shake beneath his paws. His snarl echoed like a vow. No one will touch her. What was once just a family pet now revealed his true nature. He wasn't simply her dog. He was her guardian. From the edge of the sidewalk, the shadows shifted again. This time, the source stepped into view. A man, disheveled, his clothes torn, his eyes darting wildly. He reeked of desperation, muttering under his breath as he staggered forward. The sight alone made the girl shrink back in terror. The shepherd exploded into furious barks, teeth bared, pulling the leash taut. His stance widened, claws scraping the pavement, every inch of him screaming danger. The man froze, startled by the dog's ferocity. Still, he took another unsteady step, his hand reaching into his coat. The mother, closing in fast, screamed, "Stay away from her." The shepherd lunged forward, stopping inches short of the man, his snarl vibrating like thunder. The stranger's face twisted between fear and rage. But the dog didn't back down. His body was a fortress, shielding the girl completely. The street held its breath. Silence pierced only by growls and heavy breathing. One wrong move, and the shepherd was ready to strike. The mother's hands shook as she reached for her daughter, realizing in that chilling moment, without the dog, her little girl would already be in danger's grasp. The mother sprinted the last few steps, her heart pounding so hard it drowned out everything else. She dropped to her knees beside her daughter, pulling her close, but her eyes never left the shepherd. He stood rigid, unblinking, a wall of muscle and loyalty between them and the stranger. The man muttered something incoherent, his hands twitching at his sides, but one look at the shepherd's bared teeth made him stumble backward. With a final bark that echoed like a warning shot, the dog drove him away, forcing him to retreat into the darkness from which he came. The street fell silent again. The mother clutched her daughter's trembling shoulders, tears stinging her eyes. Relief washed over her, but so did something else, understanding. This wasn't luck. This wasn't chance. The dog had known, had sensed the threat before anyone else. She looked at him with new eyes, her fear of his strength replaced by gratitude. He hadn't just been protecting her daughter. He had been protecting her world. The girl leaned forward, hugging the shepherd's neck tightly. "Good boy," she whispered, her voice trembling. And in that moment, the mother realized the truth. This wasn't just her daughter's dog. He was her hero. By the time they reached the porch, the girl's small hand was buried in the shepherd's fur, her fear replaced by trust. The mother's legs shook beneath her, but her heart swelled with gratitude. She turned back one last time. Nothing but an empty street, the danger gone. Inside, the girl crouched as best she could, wrapping her arms around the shepherd's neck. "You saved me," she whispered, pressing her cheek against his coat. His tail wagged slowly, but his eyes remained sharp, still scanning the windows as though danger might return. The mother knelt beside them, stroking the dog's back. "You're more than a pet," she said softly. "You're family now." The shepherd finally relaxed, his body sinking to the floor beside the little girl, his head resting protectively on her lap, and for the first time, the house felt safer than it ever had before.